Sai Ram. Whenever we undertake a journey with the sole objective of finding God, that journey becomes a pilgrimage. Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba has graced so many villages, towns and cities across India, and many of these are not known at all. With prayers to Bhagwan, I decided that I would try my best to make a pilgrimage, a travel to as many as possible of these villages, towns and cities, and explore the stories, the glories and the history, his story of our beloved Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. So today we begin the pilgrimage with one beautiful town in the state of Gujarat. Needless to say, this ground called the Lunsi Kui grounds has got a very special connection with Swami. This is in the town of Navsari, which is about 30 kilometers from India's diamond and textile capital, Surat. Being so close to Surat, Navsari too engages in textiles and diamonds business. However, the most precious diamond for this place is the memory of the divine visit which happened as early as 1967. It all began when Shri Nanubai Desai, a gentleman from this town of Navsari, came to know of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba in the early 1960s. He was convinced that Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba is none other than his Lord, Shirdi Sai Baba. And he began to read the story of Swami's life. He began to delve into the teachings of Bhagwan Baba. Not only that, he began to spread it across households and homes in this town of Navsari. So much so that in 1965, they actually started a samiti in this town of Navsari. And guess what? The founding members, 9 of them, were selected personally by Swami himself at Prashanti Nilayam. Then, as it always happens, first the devotees visit Swami at Prashanti Nilayam, and then they want Swami to visit them at their home. Hundreds of devotees from Navsari began to make annual or biannual trips to Prashanti Nilayam, and all of them had the constant prayer on their lips. Swami, please come to Navsari. Swami, please come to Navsari. Finally, Swami yielded to their prayers, and it was on the 30th of March in 1967 that Swami's divine feet set foot on the hallowed sands, or rather shall I say the hallowed grass and mud of Navsari. It was in this very Lunsi Kui grounds that Swami had decided to grant darshan for the people of Navsari. Knowing this, even back then in 1967, this ground was jam-packed. More than 45 to 50,000 people filled every inch of this space wanting to glimpse their beloved Lord. Swami definitely knew what was going to happen, and that's why even as he came here from the home of Mr. Nanubai Desai, where he went and had a few refreshments. But then he told the driver of the car to keep the car running and ready for takeoff, because Swami said, I will go grant darshan and come immediately before any damage can happen. What damage was Swami referring to? As I said, when Swami came to this ground, it was so jam-packed. Swami got down, walked around, gently granting darshan. He was the center of calm in a devotional storm. And then to one little boy, Swami materialized Vibhuti. Such was the excitement that got generated with Swami materializing Vibhuti that everyone began to run. There was the danger of a stampede happening. But before that stampede could happen, Swami rushed back, got into the car and then drove away. You know, Swami always encourages one to be mad after God. But in our madness for God, we have to ensure that we don't cause harm to anybody else. Because one of the fundamental teachings of Swami is help ever, hurt never. We are allowed to have our freedom in our madness for God, but we have to be careful that it does not cause damage or harm to some others. You know, it is a joke among the devotees here that after that visit, Swami would multiple times tell about the maddening devotion of the people of Navsari, and therefore, on a couple of occasions, when the state president would ask Swami, Swami, please come to Navsari, Swami would say, Navsari? No, sorry. And that is the joke that all the devotees in Navsari will tell you. They are very, very proud of the fact that Swami recognized them as a God-mad people. Of all the madnesses that afflict man, God madness is the least harmful and the most beneficial. That is a lesson that I learned from the devotees at Navsari, that we should become mad for God. After Swami's Mahasamadhi in 2011, a massive program was held at this very same Lunsi Kui grounds. During the course of the program, there were people from all religions and across all sections of society who came and offered their homage to Bhagwan Baba. During that program, the local government here decided that they would dedicate a Sneha Dwar, a doorway of friendship in memory for the love and service of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. That is the Sneha Dwar that we see here, and this is the road that culminates at the end with a photograph of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. It has been named as the Sri Satya Sai Marg. You know, the interesting thing about it is that at the beginning of this gate is the Navsari jail, and at the end of the road is the Vivekananda Society. I firmly believe that this is no coincidence. It is symbolic of the metaphorical truth. At the beginning of the Sri Satya Sai Marg, at the beginning of the road of Sri Satya Sai, we are all in jail, we are captives, we are prisoners in this world. And at the end, having travelled the road of Sri Satya Sai, having travelled the path of Sri Satya Sai, we reach the Vivekananda Kendra. Swami Vivekananda is an enlightened being, an embodiment of karma, bhakti and jnana marga. That's why I said, I don't think any of this is a coincidence. It is again not a coincidence that the Sri Satya Sai Marg begins with the jail and ends with Vivekananda.